Hey Navigavana, how are you? Mr. Natural here. This is my best friend and one of my students, John. And he plays violin around here and he knows what the hell he's doing. So we thought we'd give you a little bit of help. John wants to just looked at your videos. Frightened the shit out of him watching that second video with your bow bent. It's not a bow and arrow, it's a bow. Right. So he's going to give you some advice on bowing. And what I wanted to say first is, what you're doing with your fingering is okay. Please try to play try to play the major scale a little bit more, and I'll be sending you some music that's written in major scale. And then after getting that major scale down, one thing you can do is you got that iPod and you got your computer. You can get some kind of a piece of software that write music, and you can put the music up there. You can put those scales, that E scale up there with your music program and have it play very, very slow and play along with it to help you get in tune. And don't be afraid to slide your fingers around. As John will probably point out to you, sliding is everything with that left hand. One thing, the way you're holding your violin, by holding it with your foot straight down like that, it's causing your left hand to have to reach way over and overstretch a little. So one of the things John said is some of the people he knows, instead of holding it, with the one foot, they put it at a slight angle and hold it with their right foot instead of their left foot, and give it a slight arrow so that it comes further close, so you can get that nice spiral and get in there to meet it. So that's the first thing. So now I'm going to introduce John here, and John's going to show you what to do with your bow.
Okay, so here's some good things to do with the bow. So the first thing we do when a beginner begins is if they try and bow from the elbow.
Yeah.
So the problem is you can only get a good sound for a very short range before the bow twists off the center.
Right.
So the best sound is 90 degrees, perfect the whole way. Right? The second thing is the wrist must be higher than the fingers. If the wrist goes like this...
Yeah, so that's one of the things we noticed, is that your wrist is below the bow.
Right? You'll get a bad sound. So the first thing to do is to divide the bow into quarters to try and get even sound at every point of the bow. And the best tone is what's called sticky tone, and you can, right, you can't get much louder than that no matter how you play. So that's about the maximum of violin. So I saw you have that. That's good.
Yeah.
But the first thing now is to find the first quarter. Now you notice when you hold the bow here, it's supported here in the middle by the pinky, because the bow's heavy. Right? So if I do a whole quarter, I can do half quarter, and I want even sound. And I'm using flat hair at this time because I want the strongest sound. If you roll the bow, it becomes a feathered sound. So that's what we want. Now as I move down to the next quarter, right, this finger will start to have a balance between these two fingers. And notice I'm not doing this. I'm actually almost thinking that I'm bowing from my nose. Right? So I'm actually extending. I'm extending my hand. I'm not doing this.
So more like your hand is a yo-yo attached to your nose.
Well, it's almost more like I'm pointing. Like,
pointing out.
Like a fin. It's really this kind of motion.
Yeah.
Right? So see, my elbow doesn't even have to move.
Right.
Right? So...
And also your shoulder's not up, your shoulder's down.
See, I'm not using my...
Right.
Now the next quarter, right?
And also you see there's no rotation here. That's stable.
Then the fourth quarter. Right, now notice I have to put a little pressure.
More pressure. And you're raising your wrist above the bow even more.
Right, now my wrist is always above the bow, but in this case I turn on an angle. So like the Russian style, they turn this way.
Right.
So if I do quarter, 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 that means you get the even sound at every point of the bow. Then you do eighths. Right, so you're getting even sound.
Yeah.
Now the next trick, which is really as important, is you do 4 and then 1.
Right.
Right, now to make the sound even, I have to move away from the bridge.
From the bridge.
To make it softer
And get more fundamental.
for a big bow.
Right. There you go.
Now one big bow, right, to make them all sound the same.
Right.
So the closer I get,
Close.
right, if I move slower to get a loud sound, I have to move close to the bridge. If I move fast, it's going to sound terrible. So if I move fast, I move out. So the sweet spot changes depending on whether you move. If I move fast, right?
So
I
you,
have to move.
the faster you go, and the more of the bow you use, the more you are towards the fretboard.
That's right. You move away to balance the sound.
Right. And the shorter, if you break it up into little eighths, you bring it a little bit closer to the bridge.
Now the other important thing to develop the skill is to do what I call the 1 minute bow. Or longer if you can.
yes.
And
Long tones, long tones, long tones, long tones.
And this is just to make sticky tone for every part of the bow. And I mean sticky. Like this is,
It should sound like a door squeaking, and it should
Right.
sound as bad as possible, because you want to make sure that every bit of the horsehair is grabbing that string.
so you're right on the verge of
Good tone.
sticking.
Yeah.
But that's how it begins. And then you edge off just a little less than actual squeak. And that's called sticky tone. If you notice, it starts to ring out. Now that becomes very important. Now you can get that down even slower, because like if you wanted to play fast, that's actually sticky.
Yeah. And there you're bearing down as well, right? Notice how high his wrist is, and his pinky's up, Russian style.
So you can only play as fast as you can squeak.
Yes, right.
So now you got great tone. Now, for
For double stops, right.
right, the tuning. So you practice high, low, until you find balance.
Right. So what you're doing is you're comparing you're playing one note on one string and the other string open.
Right. So you have an open string.
Yeah.
And a fingered
And then
string.
you're finding the same tone on both.
Right. You can tell flat. You hear the beats.
Right. You can hear.
There's a little third tone, zzz, buzzing in there. Sharp.
Yeah, sharp, flat, right on it.
Right. Balance. Balance means not sharp. Not
So there
flat.
you're playing the octave, essentially, and getting the two octaves. And in the other case, you're playing a fifth or a sixth or a third.
Right. So one of the important notes on the violin is the ringing notes. Right?
Oh,
So
yes.
the first thing we do is ring notes to the octave. So this happens to be an A, or it could be any string. And this is the octave. And if I'm sharp, it dies, right? But if I'm in tune, it starts to ring.
So in other words, you're fretting the top string and then listening to the bottom string to see if it's vibrating.
Right.
And if you get that top string just right, it will, through resonance, impact the bottom string to ring, and you'll hear the loudness of that bottom string. So the closer you are to being perfectly in tune,
Yes.
the louder the bottom open string is going to ring. Is that it?
Now here you
Now
have...
you know this because of your experiments with tuning forks,
Right,
right?
so here, you have this length is this pitch. Because it's exactly the overtone, the first overtone of this string,
Right.
right? I have 1, 2, 3 strings playing. So that creates natural brilliance
Right.
as sound. Now this is standard tune violin, so it's Western tune, but here this length is a D, this is a D, rings. So you have actually three strings playing along with you.
So if the lower string that you're fretting is properly tuned, it causes the string above to vibrate, and its overtone will also come out, so you're actually getting 3 notes,
Right.
not just 2.
Right, you're getting 3 actual strings,
Right.
and those actual strings actually have the overtones too.
2.
So you start to get the brilliant sound. So that's the other thing, if you tune like that. So it's tuning. That would be the 2, the 3. The 4. The 5. Right, the 6. Seven.
And the octave is the most brilliant consonant.
Because it rings.
Now, couldn't he also do that by just having a single tone, like a drone, and then also play those strings
Well,
in
in
here?
this case, the octave, my drone for this particular chord is the A itself, and so.
The open A string, right.
Now for sliding exercises, you slide, let's say you can do a down slide or up slide, because there's lots of variations of slide. So if you're sliding into the open string, now your scale, you had a minor second, so right, you had a major third, and often they slide up to the major third. The 4 now can be a small slide. The octave. And it was a flat 6.
Yeah, he was using a flat 6. It kind of sounds like a whale. I like that. Right.
So you can practice.
Right, and sliding's a good thing in this case, really. I know people try to discourage it, but it's a good thing.
So there's all down slides. Right, up slides now. Now the other thing to do is you can do it with just one finger.
Yeah, one finger.
So imagine you're an eagle, like a bird, and you're going to fly through the air, and you're going to land.
You want your bird droppings to hit the right spot, right?
And the tuning with the other string is important, so you know where your finger's going. Right? Like a bird flying. So you practice as many. And you do short ones.
Yes,
right?
short ones. Yeah, little quarter step, half steps.
So you can practice up and down. So I think that's enough.
Yeah. Now,
For now.
something else I want to mention. For sliding, the best violin player on YouTube would be Stefan Grappelli, right? He does a beautiful
For Western
slide.
sliding.
Western sliding, yeah. And then for this bowing technique and getting these tones, you want to watch Heifetz, of
Heifetz
course.
is the best bow in the
Heifetz, and especially his bowing.
Yeah, his bowing
Yeah.
is rock solid.
Another thing about Heifetz is
His use of the thumb. What happens is a lot of people put the thumb here or back here. Heifetz actually pushes his thumb as far forward, so he's always running up to his thumb.
Well, Heifetz plays in a style without a shoulder pad, so,
Right.
so you end up using your thumb as a shoulder pad.
Right.
So you end up playing with the fingers, the thumb is
Yeah, and again, down the center of the back here, you're using the tip of the thumb. You're not doing that kind of a thing
you
to
don't-
hold it up.
Yeah, beginners violins, they get it too stuck.
They get stuck in there in this groove, and then there's no. It has to be held by the chin against the shoulder. Actually, if it's held properly, you don't need your hands.
If it's on your foot, then you can stabilize with a cloth.
Yes.
The other thing is your fingers should fall directly, like rain falling from the sky, straight down.
Straight
If you're
down.
pulling this way, you pull the
Right.
violin off. You should always almost, if you're playing on this string, the fingers are waiting on this
Almost over
side,
twist it the other direction.
right? So they fall vertically
Vertically down.
and they curl.
Right. So they're absolutely perpendicular with the string.
So another skill to do is picking the strings like that.
Right. And you're doing that with the meat of the finger, not your nails.
Right, now the other trick to get your fingers stronger is
Tapping.
what I call karate vibrato. It starts.
Karate vibrato. Yeah.
It literally makes the string jump.
Now the idea of this is eventually you're going to shake your wrist to get vibrato. If you slam your finger into there, you're overcoming the inertia of the string and it wants to start vibrating. So when you start the vibrato, slamming the finger in there helps that vibrato begin to move. So show them a little vibrato.
So now vibrato,
Now this is all really very loose, and the only pressure is at the very tip of the finger.
so now after the impact vibrato, it starts my finger into motion. And now there's arm vibrato with a stiff hand. There's wrist vibrato. And there's this first knuckle vibrates.
Right. So, knuckle vibrato,
You can even vibrate on
finger
the pad.
vibrato, and wrist vibrato.
You can even roll the meat of your finger.
Yes. And starting with a little vibrato is a good thing, right?
So vibrato always starts on each note slow, fast, then slow. And you can do it with beats. So every note has vibrato of some kind.
Yeah, some wiggly. So finding the center of the note and wiggling off of it is actually more human.
It's constantly what the violin's all about.
Oh,
It's all
yes,
about you're
yeah.
never-
It's not about hitting this perfect center of the thing and getting this beautiful sine wave.
you have no frets, so you're always arriving at the note
Right.
faster than the audience can tell you're out of tune.
Well, there's only one fret, and that's wherever you put your finger.
Right?
And the fret can move or slide, yeah. So you see again you see the hand is like a fish fin moving away. And you notice he's not just playing this much of the bow. He's playing as much of the bow per note as he can.
another thing to do with your fingers is, so you have one note.
And again, the important thing there is that your fingers are not pushing with a lot of pressure. They're loose and comfortable, and the normal mass of the hand is doing the job.
They're ready to fall, and they're relaxed. I'm not
relaxed.
I'm not grabbing like this.
Right, you're not grabbing it like your dick. You
Now,
know?
one exercise that my teacher gave me was also to play without the thumb.
Yes, without the thumb. Yes. Then you get loose. Then you can get loose. Yeah. So you're only putting enough pressure on the finger to bring the string to the fret board, to the fingerboard. You're not actually digging in. Mm-hmm. You're not creating a cavern in your finger.
If you grab it, you're
like that, right?
You're like a tightrope walker. You're balancing on top of the
string. Yes. Well, also you're looking down at the string and you're bowing down on the string. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, you're above, coming down to the violin. You're not playing through it or up under it. So you get this feeling that you're floating above the instrument, looking down at it, right? Sort of a God's eye point of view.
Like when I play without my thumb, I'm actually kind of pulling the violin up.
Right. You're pulling up with your chin and your shoulder there, right? Yeah.
I'm actually pulling it up.
You're actually lifting your hand, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually lifting the sound, and the sound comes out when you lift up.
Lift up.
As opposed to digging
down, which dampens. Mm-hmm. We don't want to dampen.
Even the bow, I have the feeling that I have a sticky tone, but I'm lifting it up. I feel like
right, just slightly above the string. So everything's above the string. The wrist is above the bow. The wrist is above the strings. Yeah, the fingers are above. And this feeling that you're above the instrument playing it rather than like through it or in it or on it. Or.
And even if you put it on here, you're still...
So you see he's using his right foot, gives him a little bit of an angle so his left hand doesn't have to come around in a spiral too tightly. It allows him to go down to those bottom strings faster, exactly. Well, thank you very, very, very much, John.
Good luck.
And yes, namaste.
Namaste, namaskar.